where Binduji has been conducting classes on Bhagavad Gita and helping us interpret it from the different aspects of how we perceive this, how we understand this. So this is a culmination of about 14 different classrooms and an introductory class on Bhagavad Gita. All these are available on replays, or if you go to YouTube channel, Advaita Retold, you can catch up on all these replays. And this context will be even more important as we go deeper into this with Binduji conducting these classes. So today is the first attempt for an open discussion, which was brought forth by Yash, one of the participants, who suggested that we can have a room where we can ask more deeper questions on Bhagavad Gita. So in this context, Binduji's request is to keep it to the context of Bhagavad Gita and the discussions that we have ensued. But if you have other questions, Binduji will definitely entertain you, but he might point you to some other texts or maybe a Sunday room where we have just open discussion. So with that context, the hand raising and the chat are open. Again, thank you very much, Binduji, and for everyone coming. Over to Srinivas. The question. Thank you.
Namaste, Binduji. You want to say something before I ask?
You want me to do the synopsis of the verse?
I can do that, and then we can.
Or should we wait for more people to join?
That's also fine. I can ask a couple of questions.
Be better than
that will be better. Yeah, go ahead with the Srini.
Yeah, Binduji. So, in this 2.16 Bhashya over the last couple of days, what I noticed was its treatment is unique because it never talked about anything like Nimitta Karana or Upadana Karana, instrumental cause or material cause, because generally how it gets talked about is that somehow the existence, the Sat is a material cause, right? Of course, in Advaita they might say Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana. So in a way what I felt was that this is more a direct philosophical way of analyzing than analyzing in the other way of a material cause and a instrumental cause. Do you think that is the right observation?
Yeah, no, you cannot say direct and philosophical thing. The approach is reducing intermediate, imaginary or supporting philosophies for the purpose of understanding it. As you rightly said, it is simple. I won't call it as direct. I will call it as simple philosophy in the sense that it is directly showing us our relationship with the phenomenal world. And phenomenal world, how it is to be understood, so that the previous verses where he has said, Nani Shochanti Pantita, or the word that, the wise people do not lament over the, impermanent things, and treating the pair of opposites which we see in the transaction or in the phenomenal world with the right understanding will make you more enduring towards the pair of opposites. That is how the 16th verse have been more direct from that point of view. And it is simple because everybody's experience. He is not talking about Hindu philosophy or other philosophy or no name or no God in between, no Brahman or anything like that. Only permanent and impermanent. So with these two ideas in very much clear in our mind, we can know that where do we stand in our own experience, which he will coming to the next two verses, and thereafter it will become more and more clear.
Yeah. Why I'm thinking like that is because generally when we talk about the mud pot example, right? Now the pot is formed. So when it is a pot also it is mud. When it is broken also it is mud. Like that. So when that kind of way we talk about mud pot example, it is almost using the material. So when we, in the Drashtantika, when the existence becomes like a mud, right? So that existence is continuing in broken pieces. But yesterday, when that broken pot part of the Bhashya was there, it was very clear that existence is not continuing as a broken mud piece. It is something, it is the Samanadikarana which is beyond the broken mud piece. It's totally taken away from the mud, right? Like in yesterday, one question and answer that came up. So I think the mud pot example has been completely treated differently in this shloka to generally how we talk about it, right?
Right. That is, you are right.
So basically it is establishing existence, because the problem generally I used to think of is when gold ornament or mud pot, the gold is foldable, cuttable, so it is moldable to different. Similarly, the mud is moldable as a cup, pot, etc. Whereas, so that kind of treatment happens. Whereas yesterday's way, the existence is set up as a indivisible, indivisible entity, right? It's a single indivisible entity.
Right.
I think that gave a better picture of a single indivisible entity rather than generally when we talk that, oh, gold is molded as a chain, bangle. So that gives this thing like the existence is like foldable, cuttable kind of entity, right? So
Yes,
I think that's why I think this approach seems completely different from the material nimitta karana and upadana karana kind of thing. And in a way we can even say that it's no more, we cannot use terminologies like nimitta, upadana at all with existence for that matter, right? Because even when you explain Madhva, Ramanuja position also, I think they were also to some extent, they also knew that this existence is in that way like a indivisible, not like a foldable kind of entity, is what I was thinking. So what do you think?
Yeah. That is the right. The approach in this verse is not on the pattern in which experiences or creations are generated out of the one, but seeing the one as the samanadikaranam or the substratum or coexistence for all phenomenal experiences. And the phenomenal experiences are actually dependent on the coexistence as aspect. But when we talk about it from the phenomenal experience part of, we talk existence as an attribute or an adjective of objective experiences. That is, the cold is, the heat is, the happiness is, or the sorrow is. When we say that, it is the easiness of sorrow or easiness of cold, etc. But it is not actually it is the other way around. It is because of the easiness we feel there is heat, there is cold, etc. or the phenomenal experiences. So that way, we are not bringing any creation or any of those, what you call, how did it become many? That question is not the one which we are answering here in this one. It is more on the direct apprehension of eternal nature and the ephemeral nature of two things. But both can coexist, then you have an experience. If they do not coexist, the only thing which cannot coexist is the ephemeral thing, because the existent thing, the eternal thing, can never be non-existent. That is why nasate vidyato bhavo na bhavo vidyate sada. That statement, is very clear on that aspect.
Yeah. And also in like I don't know, in further shlokas or in some other areas, if how the one is becoming many is explained, doesn't this shloka serve as a refutation to such an explanation? Because I think yesterday you were mentioning Ramanuja said something like this kind of explanation is only to bring people into line or something like that. I exactly don't remember. So even in further shlokas or some other places, if it is shown as one is becoming many, this shloka kind of serves like a refutation to such a one becoming many idea, right? Don't you
And
think?
Krishna is refuting that in all way through in the Bhagavad Gita. He is not there. Nowhere he is saying that. It is saying that all the things is my own expression. That he says in the 10th chapter. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything is mine, my expression only. So when it is being said, it is very clear that one is not becoming multiple. It is one which is being seen as multiple, but not becoming multiple. The what you call the parinama is vada is refuted, whereas the vivarta vada is upheld.
Okay. Thank you, Bindaji. I'll ask later if any question. Thank you.
Thank you, Srini. Namaste, Yash. It is for you that we have taken up this aspect.
Yeah, namaste, Bindoji.
Namaste.
I don't have many questions. I have just like 2 or 3 questions, and I have like a doubt that if there won't be any question, would you not stop doing this session? So
It is not a question of stop doing this session. It's based on requirements. We should not waste time. That's all I want to say that. If there are no questions, would you mind if I continue my
yeah, no worries.
explanation?
I wouldn't mind.
Okay.
I was thinking on a different line that
I know that you wanted an open house type of a thing, especially for immediately after the class, which we were doing it during the COVID time, right?
Yes, Bindoji.
Yeah, that is not possible due to my health conditions. That's all which I am saying that.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I was also in having a different point that previously when we used to have 3 classes in a week, there was enough time to catch up with and have that manana going on and the nididhyasana. Now maybe if the syllabus is long, and I'm not asking you to stop the classes or give a break. I want you to continue like normally, but just the pace if it is a little slow, because there are like too many concepts which were bombarded this week, and it's not like I am saying I was bombarded into it, but it's like that I have to study and then maybe then I have to think about it, and then that's why just slowing that pace was in that sense I was also asking. But like now I can continue with the questions. This was just my understanding. What do you
No
think?
problem. Now the thing is that, as you rightly said, the chapter 2 being highly philosophical in nature, you may feel that it is too much being cramped in a week for to, listen, study, apprehend, and then be ready for the next class. I agree that. Maybe because we were not in the habit of doing it. So I thought if I keep this pace, we will fall in line that, because it is going at this pace and you need to catch up, you will spend more time for catching up rather than continuing your old pattern. That is one thing which I had in mind. But really speaking, my commitment side and for my time being allotted for this is now such that I don't have any other day in the week other than Saturday evening for a family, outing or things like that. So that is also, it is on my side also. I am finding it very demanding. But then I know that for the benefit of all, this pattern will help. Definitely Friday we will keep it as a question answer session, and if it is not there, I don't mind even taking Friday as an off day so that I have Friday, Saturday for myself.
Thank you, Vindaji. That is assuring from you. My question was, have you prepared any chart like for Samanadhikaran, because there were like too many. You started by saying there are 4, but eventually there were like more than 4, and if there would be like a small 10 minutes, 20 minutes understanding of each of them, because I thought we were like rushed through all of them with one example at least. But for the contemplation part, if the chart is there, we might go through one by one and then see and look upon with our experience where we are having these perceptional errors of
Okay. I will do anything. I'll make a PDF sheet or a one page or a Excel sheet or printout of that on a PDF format where I'll draw a linear chart with explanations and examples of that, each one of them, so that it will be clear for you to understand where it is, what we are making the errors in our own, understanding of
yes.
the reality. I can do that. Maybe by next week I'll give you.
So, Binduji, one more question here is, and thank you for this chart. I'll also talk with you, and if you need any help, I could also do
Yep.
that with you. I wanted to talk about. There are like two distinctions. One is real and one is unreal. So the distinctions could be made like existence, and there is another which is non-existence. But here the distinction should be the opposite of real should be that which is imagined, but which is not there, right? So real versus unreal, whereas existence versus non-existence is not a real opposite.
No.
Or yes. So sat versus tuchha, or bhava versus abhava. Is that the right way in which I'm only talking in the way in which the Gita is flowing from the verse 11, 12, 13, 14? Because when Nasate Vidyato Bhavo 2.16 comes, there seems to be a wrong comparison of existence versus non-existence, but non-existence here itself, which is asat, is the one which is at the moment, at this very moment, very real to me, because I am having the like how Shankara is saying that there are two cognitions which are happening. So both the cognition at this moment are to be real. The asat one is unreal in the past tense and unreal in the present tense, but very much real in the current sense. So, like, can you give this distinction very clear?
Okay. First of all, the word non-existence is not the opposite of existence in the verse 2.16, because existence, when it is real, it can never change. So there is never a time when it is non-existence. So it is not an opposite. There is no opposite for existence. That is first and foremost. Second thing is that what is called asat is that which is not prag and pradvamsa. Both type of thing. That is prior to the experience and post the experience. The experience object being absent has no reality to it, or it is considered as ephemeral or changing in nature. Because of the changing nature of the content of experience, it is called asat, not as an opposite of sat. Because the word 9, I told you there are 6 formations in which the negative in Sanskrit can be used. It is not a direct opposite. Here it is being used. Here it is used for a purpose that which cannot be included into the category called sat. Therefore, it is asat. That is where you have to take it as the the reality is while experiencing. The pot is real when it is being used and perceived and seen and everything. But we have to understand that the dependency for the shape and the utility and the form and everything is depending upon the mud. So there are two things for it. One is experience of pot is actually experience of mud. And when we say that the pot is useful for bringing water, etc., but the mud as such cannot be. So there is a difference between the two. So that difference is in the vikara or the formation of the mud for the purpose of bringing water. Now, if it is for made in the same mud is made in the form of a lamp, it cannot be used for water. But the same mud becomes a platform for lighting a lamp. So the reality has not changed. Mud remains mud even when it is a pot or even when it is a lamp. But what is being experienced is mud. But we feel that we are experiencing pot and we are experiencing lamp. And that changing nature of the mud for the different experiences makes the experiences unreal, mud being real. Is it clear now?
Yes, Binduji. So when we are talking about sukha dukkha, uh, does sukha dukkha become unreal?
Yes, very much. If sukha dukkha is triggered by any object or an incident, that should be same to everyone, or whoever has witnessed it, it should affect everyone the same way. Now, for example, a valuable cheese for you, a flower vase or a trophy or something like that, it fell from your hand and broke. That will bring you sadness, sorrow. But the other people who were there nearby you, who had seen that, will not have the same level of sorrow what you are having. If it had been there in the object, it should be the same for everyone. For example, fire. The heat from the fire will be the same for everyone it is around. Right? Same way, when we look at that, now a person who has covered himself with thermal insulation, like a fire extinguisher, fire brigade jacket or something like that, and a person who has not worn anything other than his bare minimum clothes, the same heat will give two levels of heat. One person will be able to endure it, the other person may not be able to endure it so much. So the fire also, under different circumstances, appears to be differently affecting different people. So what is now we have to think about it, that the nature in which the events happen or the experiences coming is natural. But the contact of the sense organ, which acknowledges the presence of the natural thing happening, evaluates it in different way depending upon the conditions we are now. Whether you have a personal attachment to it or you are protected well from heat or cold, all type of things which we can bring it. But the object quality is not varying. That is remaining the same. But our experiences are changing. Therefore, what is changing is unreal. Unreal means it has no validity in real thing. It is, I am not saying that it is not there. It is unreal in the sense that it is not having the same effect on everyone at the same time, which is the nature of reality. The sun when rises, it will be the same for everyone. There is nobody. But then if you are in a dark room without a pinhole also for the sun to come, you may not know when the sun has risen, when the night has come. That is because you have not made any contact of your sense organ to the sunlight which is coming from. So you don't know the experience of sunlight. So that is a different issue altogether. We are not talking about exceptions of this nature. When a natural thing is approaching you or is in contact with your sense organs, how you will react to it, you can alter it by knowing the conditions under which the sense organs are evaluating, not the under which the object is appearing to yourself. That is why events in life will be happening the same way to everyone. But some are able to tolerate it, some are not able to tolerate, some succumb to it, become despondent like Arjuna. Some people will not. Now, among all the warriors who are standing there for fighting the war, why did Arjuna alone throw up the bow and arrow and sit, saying that I cannot fight? It has been seen by others also. It is because the way in which Arjuna responded to it. That is why in the verse previous to the 14, I think, he says, Tan tidikshasva bharata. You have to endure this. All these pairs of opposites may appear to be real, but they are really unreal. Therefore, knowing the nature of the experiences, you endure it with the knowledge. Enduring means not sahanam or, forbearance in the nature of in which it is being taught by all of us. When you do an intellectual or with the thinking how you handle that the effect of that can be nullified, or you will be better prepared to handle that without reaction.
Binduji, would you say when you said unreal would mean non-existence?
No. Unreal means it is experienced, but at the same time doesn't remain permanent. Now, the reason why we are using this terminology, especially for Advaita purpose, is that we are evaluating Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, waking, dream, and deep sleep. Only when we realize these definitions of what is Sat and what is Asat, or what is permanent or eternal and what is ephemeral, we can know that the nature of waking and dream are ephemeral, and the Sakshi is an eternal one, which is knowing the waking, dream, and deep sleep as experiences keeping on changing.
This is fine, Binduji. I now understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Yash. Yesterday I said that I will make a synopsis of the verse 16. So let me do that now, since all of us are here. See, so the central idea of the verse 2:16 is that distinction between real, which is unchanging, which is representing the self or Brahman, Atma Brahman, and the unreal, which is a changing of the phenomena of experiences. All experiences, heat, cold, or objects like, tree, elephant, everything for that matter. It urges that the unreal, which is changing, has no true existence in the sense that they are momentary in nature. don't confuse with the Kshanikavada. No, we are not talking about the Kshanikavada or the momentariness of knowledge. Existence. They are not there before experience, while experiencing, and after experiencing, which is not there continuously. That is called unreal. But that which is not changing before, while experiencing, and after experiencing is what is called existence. But the problem is that existence being a very subtle element, it cannot be comprehended without the presence of a gross element. Similar to space. We cannot know space unless an object in the space is in reference. So that is what the core idea of this verse is. The unreal phenomena like the heat, cold, etc. should not be taken seriously by us. They are dependent on the causes, changeover of time, and they vanish when they are destroyed, etc. The pot is not different from the clay, but changes the pot. Before it was not pot, then we are experiencing pot, and after that broken, we are experiencing the broken pieces. But the experience of the mud and the broken pieces and in between the pot, that has something which is unchanging. The subject which is knowing, that is unchanging. So there are objections which is raised by the opponent party in the commentary. The two awareness which is being there, that is awareness, every perception involves awareness of the constant aspect or the reality, and awareness of a variable which is the contact between the subject or an object and the sense organs. That keeps varying. The sense organ can contact maybe partially, fully. All those things are changeable. The awareness of reality persists across all objects. All experience depend upon the awareness. While the specific objects in awareness are inconsistent. Even when an object is destroyed, awareness of reality of the destroyed object remains, because the reality is not tied to the object noun like pot, cloth, or elephant, or tree, etc. But it is tied to the existence. So when awareness, in the awareness, the mud is, the pot is mud as mud. The broken pieces is there as mud. So the easiness is in the mud, which is becoming the pot and the broken pieces. Same way, all experiences as a cause which is coming for the experience, and then when the object of the experience is vanishing or destroyed or eliminated, the cause is now in another form, but not as the form of the experience itself. This is, for that only the pot example was given. And in the same place where we have the Samanadhikaranyam or the coexistence, both the existence of the reality and the existence of the unreality has to be there together for an experience to take place. The reality is the awareness or the existence, and the unreality is the changing one of every experience. That is why in the Pratibodha Vididam Matam, the Pratibodham is the changing experiences. In that there is only one thing which is common, the Bodham. Bodham has no ups and downs, or the knowledge or the awareness has no high or low or anything. Whether you are aware of the heat, whether you are aware of the cold, whether you are aware of the pot, whether you are aware of the dog, whether you are aware of the elephant, awareness doesn't go any variation, through any variation. The contents of the awareness is what is changing. So what is the conclusion? The unreal, that is the phenomena, all the worldly phenomena, ephemeral nature, has no true existence. They are existing when the experience is happening. Their existence only when you are experiencing that. When you went into dream, your waking world was not there for you. And when you were in waking world, your dream world was not there for you. And when you were in deep sleep, neither the waking nor the dream world was available, nor the objects, nor the subject who is knowing the waking world or the dream world also were not there. So all of them, the subject is also changing as the ego. The individuality of the waker, individuality of the dreamer is changing. But the awareness in which the dreamer operated, awareness in which the waker operated, and awareness when it was not there for both, which knows that the three experiences had happened, that awareness has not undergone any change. That is Tebhyo Vilakshana Sakshi. The one devoid of the three, Tebhyo Vilakshana. That witness is the reality. And that reality is you. The pronoun that in the Tattva-darshibihi, the Tattva-darshibihi, the one who has realized the ultimate reality. There the Tat is referring to Brahman. Same as in the Tattvamasi. The realization of Tattva, pure nature of Brahman, frees one from the ever-changing nature of field of experiences, because he can abide in that nature of Brahman. And such a person is called a Tattvadarshi. And if you want to look at the key points in the philosophical points in this, that one is talking about Vivartavada. Modifications like pots are non-existent apart from their substrate, clay, just as all effects are non-existent apart from their cause. Karana vyatirekena karyam nasti. Then, the type of cognition with which we are always endowed with are Sadbuddhi and Vishesha Vijnanam. Sadbuddhi is existent consciousness, or existence cognition, or existence awareness. It is invariable in the sense that doesn't undergo any change and applies to all substrates. Anywhere, any experience, there is something called when you say existence, that is the substratum. Whereas the specific or Vishesha Vijnanam, or the specific cognition, is the variable and appear and disappear, like the pot, cloth, etc. And the Samanadikaranyam, co-referentiality or coexistence. Both existence and pot refer to the same locus, but existence persists while the partners keeps on changing. It was not there, it appeared and it got destroyed. But existence persists. And in the mirage analogy, the water appears in the mirage, though it is absent. Even a thing which is not present can be experienced due to illusion or bodily modification of, vision, etc. Dvidiya Chandra, etc. All those places were, conditions which are changing. So this is saying that where the illusion or a defect in our sense organ can give rise to different type of experiences. Where is a practical application for this? Understanding this metaphysical truth that we are all the unchanging self enables us to endure through all dualities in life without grief. Nanu shochanti pandita. This is the synopsis of verse 22.16. I've complete what I did in 2 days. I just did it in maybe 10 minutes or 7 minutes. It's okay, Srinivas?
Yeah. Thank you, Binduji. So since no one came up, I have another couple of questions. Can I ask Binduji? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, Srini. Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. So, one question that came up is, I think in yesterday's Bhashya, that there is, at some point, because we are talking about Sat Buddhi and Asat Buddhi, this whole, I don't know what to call it, as a prakriya or something, is still in the realm of Buddhi Siddha, right? Buddhi Tantra. That is what I think Shankaracharya used the word Buddhi Tantra, right? So,
yes.
So it's not, in a way, it's not really, this verse is not really dealing with the Vastu yet, or the text is still going there, I think. Is that the right way to understand?
Yes, the text will be taking us to the what you call, the Vastu or Atma Brahman aspect. But it is the preamble that, how do we start analyzing our experiences? Because if you are not declutching yourself from the pair of opposites of real and unreal, you will never be able to see through the experiences to shift your gaze on the reality and abide in it. So it is mandatory that we are trained to do this aspect of analysis of Sat and Asat.
Yeah. Thank you, Binduji. And one more thing I wanted to ask in the context of that Samanadhikarana.
Yeah.
With the example of rope and snake, right? For example, if Sat Buddhi is the rope, is the perception of the rope, and Asat Buddhi is the perception of snake or Vastrakhanda or some Bhurandra or something like that. Can you just take us through that, how the Samadhanadhikarana works in this example? Like, what is that Asat Buddhi and how it works, kind of?
It's a very simple, like the pot and the pot example only. Yes, it's the same thing. All the 3 times, what was remaining unchanging? The rope. The rope was there before we approached it. When we approached it, due to illusion or due to misapprehension, we felt it is a snake or a garland or a crack in the floor or things like that. Anything other than the rope. But when you realize that it is the rope, there is no locus standi, or no way in which the appearance which you had can remain there forever. So what is the reality there? The reality is only the substratum of the rope. So the existence of the rope was mistaken as the existence of a snake. But when the snake was understood to be an illusion, the snake cannot stand but the existence of the rope goes back to the rope. Even though momentarily the existence was supposed to have been associated with the snake, when the snake was found to be unreal, that existence which we was saying that this is a snake is not going to remain, because the moment that we realize it is not a snake, the existence is now remaining with the rope only. It has never left the rope. But we felt that it left rope and it became existence of the snake. So that is what is the snake rope in the Samanadhikarana.
In this, like for example, the rope can be mistaken only for a snake, right? For example, rope cannot be mistaken for a tiger, like something. So there is another aspect of Samanadhikarana also, right? Because the rope can only be mistaken as this snake or bhurandra or some those kind of things. But so does that also qualify as Samanadhikarana? Because there are some things that other things also the snake and rope have in common or something like that?
No. It is similarity of the what you call the substratum. The reason why is that even when we are experiencing pot, we were seeing mud only. Same way, when the phenomenal world is being experienced, we are depending on the name and form of the objects because of the dependency on the sense organs. But they are not objects as defined by the sense organs, but they are nothing but the same truth, which is your truth, the truth of the world. Everything is the same. Because neha nanasti kinchana, there is nothing other than that. There is only one which is always there. And that is being now perceived as many because of what is being dependency on the name and the form. That is why vacharambanam vikaro namadeyam mrittigateva satyam. Same way, it is the dependency on the vakalambanam. And when we are removing the word, dependency on the word and the form, the nama rupa, you cannot take away the existence of that experiential thing. We will not be able to define it if the name and form is it. That is why the karana is now being seen as a karya. The mud is a cause, is seen as the pot. But mud has not left the cause aspect to become the pot. Same way, Brahman, which is got awareness, which is Sat and Chit, awareness of self, is what the experiences are also coming to us as. They have experience and they are awareness. But our sense organs are reading the vikara. So, when the vikara aspect is changing, we call it as unreal. But the substratum where the vikara is taking place is non-changing. And that is what is Brahman. So what we are experiencing is Brahman only. The same way what we are experiencing as a snake is rope only. So the rope is Brahman. The snake was appearing because of the name and the form. We thought it is a snake. But when we realize it is not a snake, it becomes Brahman, the rope itself. Same way in the phenomenal world also, Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. Everything this what we are experiencing is Sat and Chit only. But when we are depending upon our sense organs, we call it by name and form, because that is the way in which our sense organs can decode it. It cannot decode Brahman, because Brahman is yato vacho nivartande aprapya manasa saha. The words cannot be, the awareness cannot be defined by words. And the existence also can never be measured by any of the sense organs. So, what we are experiencing cannot be done through the sense organs. Therefore, we do not know that is Satyam Brahman. Only when, through intellectually, when we do this real and unreal analysis, we will be able to know that Sarvam Brahmamayam. That Sarvatma Bhava is what will make us fearless. Abhayam Praptosi. You will become a person of no fear, because Dudiyad vai bhayam bhavati. When there is a second one other than you, you can be afraid of that. But when you are made of that, everything in the world is made of that, what are you worried about? There is nothing to be worried. There is only one thing. You are everything.
Thank
Right?
you, Bind. Yeah. Thank you, Bindaji. And one last thing about the second pada of that shloka, Ubayorapi Drishtantam, that Tattvadarshi Bihi. So basically, the Pandita and the Tattvadarshi Bihi, they are seeing both the things, right? Like Asat, they don't, like you said at some point that there is, I think Shankaracharya said something like the cognition or the availability of Sadbuddhi and Asadbuddhi is there at the same time for everybody. Something like that, right? It- so, so basically, that Tattvadarshi Bihi or that Pandita, they are able to understand that the availability of Sadbuddhi and Asadbuddhi is there for everybody, every moment or something like that. Is that the right thing to say?
No, it is the other way around. They are seeing what is real and the reality in the unreal. That is why Ubhayorapi. The word Ubhayo means the word is showing that there are two. But actually speaking, the two is only one. So the second one has to be negated. That negation has to be done by Tattva-darshanam. Only when you know that Sarvam Brahmamayam or Sarvam Kaluidam Brahma, the second vision which we are having for the otherness will be lost. That is required, and only for that you have to be a Tattva-darshi. That is why that second pada of that verse is very, important in the sense that how do we achieve that is given in the statement.
Yeah. So then, I think one similar verse that I am recollecting is from Kathopanishad, which says, Vidyate Hridaya Grandhi, and finally it ends like, Tasmin Drishte Paravare, right?
Right.
So, is this Ubayorapi Drishtantam is similar to that Tasmin Drishte Paravare, what that
Yes.
sloka is saying?
Yes, almost same.
Okay. Thank you, Binduji.
But here one verse from the Kathopanishad should come into our mind, where in talking about the Indriyas. Paranchigani vivarana swayambhu tasmat parang pasyadi nandaratman kaschidhira pratyakatmanamiksit avrta chakshu amrudattumichan. That one. The sense organs can only look outward, means look into the names and forms. So, the courageous person or the one which is with the intellect, Dhimantaha, Kaschid Dhiraha, Dhimantaha, that's the word used by Shankaracharya there as a meaning. The Tattvadarshi. He turned vision inward, means all these sense organs are ultimately being what you call convergent in one place. and that is awareness. The eyes, the awareness of the eye, the awareness from the ears, awareness from the touch, everything is coming as awareness toward the end. So, Avrita Chakshu, and what is that? Amrudatvam Ichan. Amrudatvam means eternal. It is not that no death. There is no change in it. So, the changeless can be seen only in the awareness, not in the sense organs and the world of objects outside. That is the same meaning. See, the thing is that the way in which it has been told in each mantra and each Upanishad or each sloka of Bhagavad Gita may appear to be not the same. But when you define it and explain it, you will find both are talking about the same thing only.
Yeah. See, I think even this Avrita Chakshu, right? It is also giving, for me, I think it's like that Ubayor Api Drishtanta, what this
Yes,
verse is telling.
exactly.
And correct, right? So then that's why I was thinking, and also when it is said that the access to Sadbuddhi and Asatbuddhi is always there. So is it that that Avrita Chakshu it's like something like a holistic vision or something like that, right? So is it compromising of both of those things? Because at some point it is like both Sat and Asat are like you said, it is not opposites. It is it's like a subset of existence or something like that, right? So that's why I was asking that access to that both Sadbuddhi and Asatbuddhi is told like that, or like otherwise what you said is like it is just the opposite, that even on the Asat Buddhi aspect they are picking the Sat aspect of that Asat Samanadhikarana.
That is right? when you are Tattvadarshi, you will pick up the right aspect. But if you are not a Tattva aspect, there are two visions. That is why the word used as Ubayorabi Drishtanta. When he says that in the both the Drishtanta, that is when the Satbuddhi Drishtanta and Asatbuddhi Drishtanta, both the places, Tattvadarshi seems the Tat. Only one he is seeing.
Yeah. See, it's like I'm looking at like a mathematical equation, right? For when we say Samanadhikarana, I'm literally looking at one side of the equation is Sadbuddhi, one side of the equation for like though they are not exactly equal. Then the common factor between the both sides of the equation is what we are calling as existence, isn't it so? So thereby it's not. Then you have to take the existence from the Sadbuddhi also. Then, right? It's not that we are taking the Sadbuddhi part. I don't know. It's a little bit like a mathematical equation. I'm looking at it, but yeah, we are looking at the common factor rather than making looking at the Sadbuddhi aspect of the Asatbuddhi side, right? So that kind of thing I'm thinking about. Yeah.
See, the thing is that when you are putting like two statements, then they are separating two. Satbuddhi and Asatbuddhi are naturally two, separate. But that Tat by the Tattvadarshi eliminates the two only towards the through knowledge only. But even they are seeing it as two. That is why they are able to, the Guru is able to, do the teaching or
yeah, that one, yeah.
They are seeing two, but in the two they are seeing the oneness. That is
This is kind of my this is more like what I was thinking. Yeah, Binduji, that's right. What I wanted to say. Yeah. Because then the last comment is then only Titiksha and Asocha and Anvaso, like Prajnavasa versus Gatasuna. So to make sense of Titiksha and this Gatasuna Gata, only then it will make sense, right? Otherwise, this Titiksha and that one doesn't seem to be making sense. That's why I was thinking like that.
Come again? I didn't get your question.
Only when you say that those two Asat Buddhi and Sat Buddhi are looked at like that differently, only then things like Titiksha, which is told in the earlier and even in the 2.12, the Nanusochanti, the Anusochana or Sochana, those things only make sense when we look at it like, because the Asat Buddhi is the cause of suffering, or matra spasha sukhante, what that he's telling, and also the sochana, and the sadbuddhi is kind of balancing. That is what is giving you capacity for titiksha, right? The sadbuddhi, or the ability that somebody, the availability of sadbuddhi is giving the possibility of titiksha and the ability to assoch. What is that last? Na-anusochanti pandita. That na-anusochanam. These two are possible only because both sadbuddhi and asadbuddhi are available for cognition or something like that. So that's what I was just trying to connect all the shlokas.
Yeah, you can say that the titiksha requirement and everything can come only if you that way only. Otherwise, there is why should where is the necessity for titiksha if you don't have that way?
Otherwise, it will become like, yeah, pain is there and there is no option but to suffer. The fact that you have capacity of forbearance or endurance means that you have availability of both sadbuddhi and asadbuddhi intrinsically. Now, one might realize it or not realize it. That is a different thing.
Right. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Thanks, Bindaji. That's what I wanted to. Yeah. Go ahead, Yash. Thank you.
Yeah, Binduji, I was just asking that when you were covering 2.12, explain the view of Ramanuja, and where he is claiming that the proper there is a proper application of anuvritti, badita anuvritti is not being done. But you did not reference that, taking his critique, how it should be seen from Shankara's. So he may be a Purva Pakshin, but you did not ended up where is the mistake, or how it should be properly seen as, and you just left it at a view which is coming from Ramanuja. So should you also do all this?
Then it will become too much. If I have to go explain Ramanuja's commentary also like Shankaracharya commentary, then it will be, I don't know.
Yeah. No, but that's why I'm asking. You did you did left in between, and the other part was never heard. Yeah. Anyways, it's your choice.
Yeah. The interesting thing, Vindoji, is from Madhva's Bhashya you read yesterday, like if we take simple example, I think in this shloka, wherever the asat word is coming, I think Madhva's version is things like Akasha Pushpa, what is that, the horn of a hare or the son of a barren. Only these he is considering as asat. Rest he is considering it as sat. And whereas in Shankara's case, it is different. So that is the main difference. And Ramanuja seems to be doing both, something little bit, both sides, right?
Right. Yeah. In fact, Asat, actually the technique, the Nayayika way of defining Asat is, which can never be there, like the barren woman, son of a barren woman, or the horns of a horse or a hare. Like that, that is truly asat. You cannot say when you are having an experience, as per Madhva, you are having an experience, how will you say that it is asat? It may be changing as nature. That is the nature of the object. Doesn't mean it will become asat. Asat is which should not be experiencing at all, as per him. That is what is that definition what Yash was asking. Sat and Asat mean the existent and the non-existent. I said, it's not non-existence.
Yeah. It is so confusing, especially this word existence, non-existence. Yeah. There are so many ways. Yeah.
Namaste, Karan.
Namaste, Binduji, everyone. Okay, from that standpoint, then asat is then ego, right? All experiences.
Which sense?
The last part about asat.
Like the son of a barren woman?
No, that belongs to duality. I understand that part. That is
Okay.
when we consider the world as real and we go in imagination, then it becomes asat.
Right.
That is understood. But from the other perspective of existence, then even duality is sat, right?
Duality is Sat only, but in the duality, there is an aspect of
Asat,
changing nature of names and forms, dependencies. That is unreal.
yes.
Because the real is only Sat aspect. In the Asat, even if you look at the word Asat, it has got A and Sat. Only when Sat is there, you can say Asat. Without Asat, Sat, there is no Asat at all.
Okay, understood. Yes. Okay.
So, existence and non-existent. Even in non-existent, the word has to depend upon existence when you add a non to it. Right?
But it doesn't exist, non-existence.
Suppose if the word is existence itself is not there, you cannot coin a word like non-existence, no?
Yes, understood.
Everything.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Karan.
Okay, so everything we experience belongs to Sat then.
Yes, everything what we experience is Sat only. But if you see the changing aspect of it, it is leaning on the Sat, and what is changing, but Sat is not changing beyond which it is leaning.
But that is connected to the subtle body again. That is wrong knowledge, right?
Right.
Right, okay.
That is why instead of word the existence or Sat or anything, I prefer to use awareness, which is easy for us to understand. Because existence itself is like space. We cannot fathom it with any of our sense organs. Whereas awareness, the pure awareness, which doesn't change, is easy for us to understand. Even though it is not measured by any of our sense organs, it is self-experienced by everyone. Therefore, use the word awareness is, for me, that is more appropriate for teaching purpose. But when I have to do the translation of the commentary, etc., I have to use the word Sat and Asat, existence and non-existence, or things like that. But when I decode it, I will prefer to use awareness.
Doesn't matter where you become aware of. The of is the experience. So, yeah. But
Right.
there is then that the borrowed awareness, what we do in the experience itself, that is borrowed, right? Because,
Yeah.
okay.
That is borrowed by the sense organs. Ganesh Prasad, yesterday you had some questions which you could not ask yesterday. Please go ahead. You're muted. Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Namaste, Binduji.
Namaste.
Binduji, I may sound a little, I think, out of place if I comment like that. But I just wanted to share my feelings. I mean, since the beginning of the first 4 classes of Bhagavad Gita was so much elated, and after you started presenting all the 4 or 5 philosophies together with a comparative analysis, you are not even comparing, you are just presenting us all the 4 or 5 philosophies, and under the perspective of them, how we could see Bhagavad Gita. And I don't know how to put it across, but somewhat I feel personally, if you stick on to, as you were doing with Upanishads, the only one Advaitic perspective, that might not distract our attention, and that's what I am feeling. I am finding it. The moods are so much shifting from that way to this way, this way to that way. So, if it is bhakti, if it is the Dvaita perspective, I think every commentary of Ramakrishna Ashram and wherever we can see the translation, we could get there. But the Advaita perspective, which touches the core, which we haven't come across in every translation, and that we are looking forward to get from your end. And when it is distracted slightly towards that way or this way, anyway, you have not yet exactly started the journey with the line-by-line analysis. But at this stage only, that 4 perspectives coming together, it is a little hard not to digest. That's why I just wanted to share that. And you please tell me the...
I totally agree with you and appreciate your frankness and the speaking out of your heart. That is well taken. But if I would also prefer to do that way only. But since I thought that a glimpse into the other minds of Madhva, Ramanuja, and Abhinavagupta, etc., will give a flavor that Advaita is not the way in which everybody is looking at Bhagavad Gita. Maybe if I can stop from next class onwards, that Bhagavad Gita need not be looked from other point of view. If you want, you can go learn it separately. That is acceptable for me. And then it will make things easier for me, because I am also basically an Advaitin in all aspects.
Yeah. Because, I felt somewhere more of the logical faculty of the brain is put into exercise when all the four interpretations come. The one channel perspective will be missing to my mind. It might not be so. In fact, for anybody to have a comparative analysis of the entire Bhagavad Gita would be fantastic. But since for the first time, maybe my expectations were too high, and I might not be very familiar with the comparative analysis of philosophy. In literature, we do time and again. Again, even there, in the study of literature, we call it more of criticism. We'll do the Rasabhanga or Rasabhasa. And that is what is slightly making me disturbed a little when four perspectives come together. And I don't know. But anyway.
What do you say, Srini or Yash? What is your viewpoint? Karan, where is this? She has gone.
I think anyway your plan was to do this only for like next couple of slokas. I think you said maybe for next 10 slokas you'll do this. After that you'll take the Shankara's perspective on it, right? So I thought, yeah, maybe that's okay. But I'm okay. I'm also because I think what Ganesh ji is missing, and of course I also have a sense of that, is the sharpness, the cutting edge. Because even yesterday, when after finishing the Shankara Bhashya, when we take your classes used to have that cutting edge kind of feeling. So I think at least that is how I understand Ganesh ji. So yeah, that cutting edge comes back. I think that will be beautiful. But I think it's very important because of the thing, right? Like I think when you have all aspects, I think it brings some grounding. So I even like you bringing all the perspectives, because it gives me grounding as a seeker, not to fly high. But both have both pros and cons, Bindoji. You only have to decide and do what is good for us, kind of thing.
Bhakti interpretation or the Dvaita interpretation of Bhagavad Gita is so soothing and so much to embrace the Lord Krishna and forget ourselves. But I am more curious to know how Advaita would look into this, because the day Bindoji actually had interpreted this one, the Bhajagovindam, by telling me that it is basically called Moha Mudgara, and all my beliefs or the things that I was clinging on to got shattered. From that day onwards, I have been very curious to see how Advaita can transcend even the greatest feeling of bhakti, or how they are both one and the same at the end of the day. That is always is the craving for me. Maybe Advaita is the only answer.
Yeah. I think definitely agree with Ganesh ji. I think if we go with only exclusively Shankara, that will also be great, Bindoji. But I think you are the best judge whatever you do, it's acceptable. Yeah.
Okay, I think I'll stick to Shankara then.
See, my view is that most of the view, and I'm not talking about the Advaitic view, but the general population thinks, or it has been set, they have made a narrative around in the general population that Gita is not for an Advaitin. And if you are taking, if like you were taking other aspects of like 3 or 4 other commentaries, I just want if you can prove them wrong, because for me the very starting classes and some other commentaries from the Guru Paramparas of like other commentaries also in Advaita itself, there is a very big point which they are trying to prove is why why Gita is a moksha shastra. And this is the point where every other commentator other than the Advaita have missed this point, and instead have taken Gita to be, with whatever the mediocrity they have found out to be what the Gita is specializing in. Rather it is, I see Gita as more complex, more life. It is more closer to experience in life. So in that way, I'm thinking. So taking other commentaries and also finding that where they are apart from or away from Advaita, why they don't, because then it will be something like so many parallel lines are being drawn. Rather, we can, if we have a unified way of only one way where the Gita is leading us to, and I am sure that leading us to is only the Advaitic way, because everything is ending up into this moksha shastra. So the other commentary may be missing out when they are only talking about the intermediary steps. But when these intermediary steps need to be combined with the final step, each string has to be tied together. Every string has to be tied together. I think that way you can do, but I insist that you don't need to be taking so much time and be hectic, rather sticking with the heart of Advaita or heart of Gita, what we say.
Thank you, Viresh. You have a point there. But on one thing which I want to make it clear to you, that there is nothing to be refuted in Madhva's or Ramanuja's commentary. They are right in their perspective. But placing, sweet, salt and chili together makes it difficult that food is not tasty. It is something similar what is Ganesh is feeling now. Okay. That's not a... So I'll do one thing. I will go with the Shankara's thing, and where Shankara has not done a justice to the verse, I will compare all the other commentaries and then give my interpretation, which I feel is more apt for that portion, except only in the places where it is required only, not everywhere.
Yes, that would be very apt.
Yeah?
Nice of you. That is very apt, what you said. Whenever such dilemma comes, or wherever you feel the other is justified, or Shankara is not.
No, there are some shlokas where I will find to justify Shankara's explanation, Shankaracharya's. That place I need to definitely tell that what is I feel about that verse.
Yes.
It is not that he was wrong or he is wrong anything. With all due respects, he is the guru. But what happens is that the time and the age in which he has lived and he has evaluated it is not what we are all living today. Our values, beliefs, our scientific knowledge, everything has added to it. So we need to bring in those aspects also when we are explaining that particular aspect of it. Srini, you were saying something?
What I was saying was, those things will come much later in Gita, right? I think the first few chapters you must be agreeing with it. Only maybe deeper in some 12th or 10th chapter, I would guess. Right?
In the first two classes also, Binduji, somebody entered the room and told that you were telling what Aurobindo is better than Shankara and all those things they commented. And we found nothing of that sort. You were as objectively presenting every philosophy as possible. And there are chances that everybody in the room would not take it in the same perspective. That is also there. And maybe Advaita disturbs so many people. And it disturbs me too many a time. But I love to get disturbed because certain things we blindly believe, and how sharply Advaita dissects things into core of its logic, and yet keeps us intact with bhakti. That is what I love in your interpretations. You don't actually discriminate any of these things, But so objectively you are keeping that. But somehow the mind craves for your Advaitic interpretation, wherein we could have maybe some people say that Advaitins are escapists. You escape from every kind of hardship and ritualistic things, and you bring in Advaita, and all such narrow down comments will be there. But I still love to get such comments and enjoy Advaita. Because at the end of the day, I think Advaita meets Bhakti in the best possible blend, I feel. That's what my gut feeling is always about.
Okay, Ganesh. Well taken.
Thank you, Binduji.
Can we stop, Prakash?
Sure, Binduji. So there are no further questions. I think today's session was an experiment on going deeper into some of the questions that people had on Bhagavad Gita. And I think it was a good beginning. Is there any modifications you would like to make to this schedule, Binduji, or to the depth of this discussion?
No, I enjoyed today's interaction with all of us here. And let us continue this for some more time. Because every time when we come, Patrick, every time when we have some point of discussion, this will definitely help.
Okay.
Namaste, Patrick. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Bindu. I was going to send you a voice message, but I thought I'd do it now just to get it over with, because I know you'll go to sleep soon. But my perspective on this is, because of the limited time you have, I would rather just listen to you. And I don't care about the other perspectives. Obviously, Shankara's input is nice, but on a technical level, I mean, sometimes you approach the subject matter on a very technical level, and you don't have a lot of time left. So I just rather listen to hear you, speak, and the interaction with Srini and Yash, who are, two of your, great students. Just that alone is enough. And I mean, if I don't care about the people that look at the Gita, from a dualistic perspective, and it's there, and the yoga's there, and it's a masterpiece for that reason. But for those who know the Gita, Vyasa wrote it from the Advaitin perspective. It's so loud you can't hear anything else. If you're an Advaitin, you read it and you know that it's all Advaita. But the other stuff and the other ideas and perspectives are included in that. But it's incidental. So I mean, the main reason I think I wanted to bring that to your attention is that your energy and your time is limited. So I'm not going to speak for Srini or Yash, but the focus on how you see. I want your commentary. That's all, like nothing else. I mean, this is why people, are here for you, not for somebody else's perspective. You're enough. Your experience in life and your experience with your teachers, your experience with your students is everything. And so your guru, we don't need any other gurus. So just like, that's how I would focus it. And, whether you want to take that or not, but time is so precious right now. I would just kind of let it, flow and, cover the material that you want to cover, but I wouldn't focus on the technicalities. It's more, that's how I feel about it. So,
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you so much. Yeah. I totally understand your need, and I'm sure that I will not disappoint you.
Yeah,
I'll do that.
Some of us get you privately, right? We can, call you or whatever, but it's, time is so tight.
Right.
So anyway, love you, and I'll
Love
continue
you.
listening, regardless
Thank
of whether you listen to me or not. So, adios.
No, I heard it. I'll definitely understand you.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll not disappoint you.
You never have. So.
Yeah. Namaste, Rajendra.
Namaste, Binduji, and namaste to everybody. Well, I would love to hear your perspective, Binduji. It's like, what are the questions, for you which have been lingering on, or, from your vast wisdom and different readings and perspectives, what are the important questions do you think, we can ask to further understand?
Well, if my explanations are not clear, or you need further expansion on that, I would like to hear from all of you that where there is, more input required from my side, that if you can come up and ask for specifics of that, it will make my explanation easier and more, satisfying all of you. So that is what I will look for. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was just going to say thank you. Thanks to
Right.
you and everyone who attended the session. So like Binduji said, we're going to retain the schedule. So we're going to have 4 days, 8:30 p.m. IST, Monday to Thursday, Bhagavad Gita sessions. We have finished 14, so we'll start with 15 on Monday. And on Sunday, we'll have the open discussion, Advaita open discussion. So you have Binduji's time for 2 open discussions, one specific to Bhagavad Gita and one more towards Advaita and open discussion. So thank you very much, Binduji, and thanks everyone for attending this discussion and contributing your different inputs and insights into how this can be navigated forward. And I think we'll leave it to Binduji to take the decision and navigate for us how he wants to lay this out. Thank you, everyone, and over to you, Binduji, to close the session.
Yeah. Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Srini and Yash, for the questions from Bhagavad Gita and clarification which you needed. And especially thank Ganesh for being frank with his request. And Patrick, you have nailed the direction for me, and I'll not disappoint you. And as Rajendra, you have always been a silent listener in the audience, but at times you have come up and asked very, very, very valid questions, and this today was one of them, and that could give a direction to people who can come and ask questions in the next coming classes. So with that in mind, I will reformat my classes to meet all of your requirement, and presentation will be from that point of view. So see you all tomorrow, Sunday for the open discussion, and Monday onwards we will continue the Bhagavad Gita, 17th verse onwards. Thank you. Hari Om. Good night.
Thank you, Binduji. Hari Om. Good night.